Thank you for tuning into the Punchline Podcast. My name is Lawrence Seretse. Another day, another week, another episode. First and foremost, I would like to thank our viewers and subscribers so far who have been following us and giving us feedback. I know but day by day. And sooner or later, we will be your favorite show because we'll bring you interesting people and guests as we go along. Today in the studio, I'm joined by Molefi Nkwete, affectionately known as Morph. I don't think Morph really needs quite a lot of introduction. He's an urban legend when it comes to urban fashion and business entrepreneurship. I've known this mogul in our society when he was young, still growing up his business called Urban Soul. Baba Nsine Bayitsi Mafia Soul, but it has sort of gone through transitions and transformations over the years. So today, basically, I just want to have a chit-chat with him around a myriad of issues, but most predominantly issues to do with understanding doing business in Botswana as a Botswana youth. Morph, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. Thank you for the invitation. And yeah, big up for the show, and also good evening to everyone out there, the viewers. Like you just said it, my name is Morph, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I think before I go far, you have inspired me quite a lot when I was still in the news and profiling. Back then it was Mafia Soul. I think fast forward over the years, we bump into corridors. We are both in business, and we have a different trajectory of sharing different experiences in terms of business. And I thought that it would be fit and very perfect, especially in this year that we are on, for us to have discussions where youth is concerned, where entrepreneurship is concerned, where business is concerned. But my first question will be, take keen interest before I understand why people are entrepreneurs, to try and understand their background and their upbringing. Can you please share with me and my audience what your upbringing is like and how it has influenced who you are today?
I mean, for me, what I can say is I was brought up in a traditional setup. Like, I grew up Kotonota, you know, just a simple family raised by my grandmother, who I believe had a lot of influence in what I do, because she was a hard worker, you know. She was into farming. As you know, like every Botswana out there, they do your subsistence farming and everything. So when I was young, we used to go to Masimu and help out, whether it's cattle, livestock, and everything and stuff like that. So Kanyahu enterprise, I thought that, to be honest, I think I learned it from that aspect, because my grandmother was very active in farming, keeping livestock and stuff like that. So I you know what I mean? Like, we were raised in a family like very much, you know. So during my school holidays, I would go to my grandmother would take me to Francis Town and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was like me, like when I was like at primary school and everything. So I think the entrepreneurship spirit was instilled in me at that time, you know. So I was just brought up by, like I said, my grandmother. So that's how I could say my upbringing was. So then, you know, eventually graduated from high school, then came to university and everything and stuff like that. Then
yeah, that was before now market.
Yeah, I mean, like, but obviously when we were still at high school, you know, we bumped into hip hop, because, you know, hip hop is pretty new, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I started
in the 2000s.
Yeah, this is like 1999.
Okay, you started.
Yeah, so, you know, we started bumping into hip hop in 98, 97, you know, when Tupac and Biggie were like rising, you know, like at that time. But we're not like really, really into it because Pac was so big. We knew about him, you know what I mean? So, but following hip hop more was in high school. You know, this is like 2000, yeah, 2000. No. I mean, 99. 99, that's when now started like now falling in love with the culture. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so,
yes.
yeah, becoming like bumping into the music, learning the artists and everything and all that. Yeah, so
tell me, obviously I want to understand about the inspiration that drew you to this business. I understand that you started this business with partners at university. Tell me about that, and don't give me that philosophical stuff about I started with nothing, then I would not. Tell me the real, because I've had an opportunity to venture into business, and I know how hard it is, and I always feel like some philosophical responses are not always fair to guys who want to venture into the spaces.
I mean, you see, for me, if you look at even my business partner, Mr. TOP, you can ask him.
Yes.
Jorge, when we met at high school, I used to have sell them overalls, like print at Bobo. I would print and sell to them at high school. So that's why I say sometimes the bug in you can't realize it when you start, you know what I mean? So for me, selling stuff has always been my forte, you know, like I've been selling stuff from like from high school. This is Shashe River School. Then when I go to university, UB, I think now the selling became more prominent because I was selling stuff like teas when I was at University of Botswana. I mean, that's how I started. You know, it's not like I'm trying to decorate my story. Everybody know my story, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit out here and try to like over tell it or decorate.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'll assume that if you say you were enterprising in Shashe school, obviously it was a boarding school. I've had a privilege of being at a boarding school, and I know the aggression or the kind of hostile life that boarding schools, especially back in the days.
Yeah, it was crazy. Shashe was even crazy. Actually, now I was not a boarding student, so I was staying outside campus. Yes. So, but when we came to Shashe River School, at that time it was a bit mild. It wasn't wild like it was before, because back then it was crazy. It was like you know, one of those crazy high schools in Botswana. You know, sometimes they would even fight and they shut it down. So during our time, it was okay. You know, when we were staying outside, you know, most guys know you couldn't.
How did you survive making money without them taking it away from you?
I mean, I'll be very honest. I wasn't selling like crazy. Like I was selling like making like pocket money, but it wasn't like that, like pretty crazy. Maybe I'll sell like 5 to 10 overalls in a month, I would say. So, and also the fact that I was a day scholar, so obviously you can't mess with day scholars.
Yeah.
If you are staying on campus, I mean, you are a boarding student. Yeah, so guys knew you can't mess with us, you know what I mean? Because we're staying outside. Yeah. We're day scholars, so never really had a problem.
Yeah, Shashe, the history of Shashe back in those days.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
I was in Masunga. Yeah. It was equally crazy.
It was crazy.
I recall at some point, guys were suspended, I think only 4 of us were left in the boarding school. God. So you can imagine they just towards exams and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, when you mention this, I actually reflect, because some of these experiences, as I grow older, tend to now make sense to me. That, okay, I was always gonna be this type of a person. I was always gonna be, the path must have been carved, but you only discover your destiny as you are now walking in the shoes. So at UB, then you started this, as you mentioned, from a humble beginning. Were you selling from a backpack, or you selling from the back of the car?
I mean, when I was in UB, it was a backpack. Obviously, I didn't have a car at that time, and I was selling from my backpack 2, 3, 4 T-shirts, and then studying my engineering at university at the same time.
Which you subsequently then didn't pursue to its fullest.
Not even like, I graduated, but I now focus on entrepreneurship full time.
Oh, why? Oh, why?
I mean, I think, you see, I fell in love with what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, I became so passionate about it. I fell in love, and the idea of just making money at a young age, you know what I mean? Like, I was making money when I was like a child, basically university student, like at 18, 19. So at that time, you can think about it like, when you graduate, your friends are looking for a job, and you're already bringing in some money for yourself. So it was difficult for me to like go out and look for a job, basically. It was very difficult.
Because you've understood being your own boss from
the first time when you start tasting money, like at a young age, like when you are graduating, like you're already making decent money, you know what I mean? Like, I actually moved out of my mom's house at that time. I was staying on my own. At like 22, 23, I was already staying on my own, my small little room, you know, just on the streets, you know what I mean? I was on the streets building stuff and just pushing the business.
But what was really driving you? Because obviously back in the days, the economy was small. The currency exchange in terms of money exchanging hands was also small. And you're introducing in a culture that people were starting to acclimatize you to. What was actually keeping you driven?
I mean, one thing you should understand is that Botswana is a very unique country in the sense that students are getting paid, you know, which is like
allowance.
One of the most unique setup.
Yes.
Not in Africa, like in the world.
Yes.
Like, we getting paid to go to school.
Yes.
And you can imagine how much money was circulating at that time. Most people don't even know how much it circulates when students are paid.
That's quite interesting.
You see what I mean?
So you figured out that with the education budget for student allowances and expenses, actually, could be that, and there's an opportunity that lies in there for your enterprising, or was it strategic, or it just organically came about? What
actually inspired me to sell is because at that time, the hip-hop culture was exploding.
Yes,
you know, it was growing, it was just starting, and globally it was taking off, you know what I mean? Like, if you look at Botswana at that time, there were a lot of students who were sent overseas to go study overseas, who used to come out like with some dope gear, and in Botswana there was nothing to get. So that created an opportunity for me. And there were also other guys by Sabo, Snitch, I don't know if you remember Snitch, sports gear importers, who were also like building the culture. There was also Augustine from Ekimo Investments, who were also bringing stuff. And at that time, there were just like a few guys, and a few guys going to Thailand and stuff like that. Then I basically spotted that there was an opportunity at that time, because the culture was just pretty much like starting.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you look at the dress code, it was popularly known as my check market, like bubbling, and obviously even the hip hop scene was just coming out crazy.
Yes.
You know, the culture was just taking off. It was like a plane, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So the hip hop scene was going crazy, you know, P-side, Bosca were starting, Bomester Do, Cashless Society, but there wasn't, even my man Drastic was part of that explosion. So then at the time, getting the dopest gear was a mission. Because I remember, oh my goodness, it was difficult to even buy a Timberland, you know what I mean? So it was just like crazy. I remember when I was at high school, I used to have this Timberland Neki Rekle from another guy, I think that time for $60 or something like that.
What?
And because I was like, I wanted the Timberland, but you couldn't get it anyway. So when I came to the city, then I realized, oh my goodness, there's like a massive opportunity to get guys stuff because we were just also getting into the culture, you know, dressing up. My cat, you know what I mean? Check. You know, and then people be like, oh man, I love your stuff. And guys are like, because my uncle OT, big guy, we call him big guy. He was one of the guys back then who influenced me, like, because he used to dress up, kicks, crazy. At high school, think about it, you know. So, and when I came to university, then I realized that, you know, you gotta stay fresh.
Of course.
You know, you gotta stay fresh.
Drip is forever.
Drip was crazy, and then you couldn't compromise as a student, like looking crappy and all that. So,
yes, I want you to demystify something because we are now moving the conversation into a different level where I'm going to come there. I'm taking it from a social media post that I saw about a week. There was a guy who was claiming that he's the one who introduced Lohokwane Cat. I don't know if you saw that on social media, and Staga was posting and saying, is this true? And there were a bit of mixed feelings. I don't recall who the guy was, but when you mentioned that and the introduction of how you are also bringing in apparel and this whole check coming in, I'm finding interest to wonder who exactly can claim credit to bring in the culture.
Yeah, Liket. Or just the entire.
Yeah, Liket, because that was the question.
I mean, I'll definitely be lying to let you know, Hore. I know somebody who started that, but I know Hore Nervito my cat, Liket, let my check, Magasti. So. But if you look at it, there were a lot of guys by Longor, they were quite strong in terms of Hugia.
Yes.
Like those Matambo brothers were hectic. Those guys from F-Town.
Yes.
They were untouchable.
F-Town was heavy.
The Matambo brothers were crazy. Then obviously Cashless Society were also strong. Bostaga Lebone, Biskobo Shike. You know, Shike was very strong as well.
He had a crazy collection.
Bisaulene was in the mix.
Yes.
You know, bringing up the game. Yeah, so generally the guys by what I know they were like really strong in terms of Giakibone, those Matambo brothers. They were like very, very strong. Yeah, I remember in Francistown they were running the show, bruh. Yeah. So then the culture, I think, elevated during that time. Like, guys, even when you go to UB, back then Ghana UB was like a mini city. Yeah, it was. So when you go to UB, you had to check first how you dress. You know what I mean? It's not like now where you go to university, it's not exciting. There's no vibe. You know what I mean? But back then UB was crazy. You know, guys used to go to UB just to go and hang out and dress up, look.
So the first urban store was Mafia Soul.
Yes.
Okay, so Mafia Soul was born from when you were elevating from selling from backpacks and all that. Where was your first store? Main Mall, right?
Yeah.
By the joint there, by the embassy there, Nigerian embassy.
Yes.
And of course, it was branded Mafia Soul for a long time. Was it around the time where you were also partnering with hip-hop acts?
Yes.
Like, if I recall, you had Yuri. What was the arrangement with Yuri And there's a guy that I recall from back then who everybody seemed to have forgotten. It's Nations.
Yes.
He was, for me, he was the first poster that I've seen.
Yes.
Yeah, Mafia Soul. What was happening around that time?
I mean, when I graduated, actually, what happened is I now looked at the whole thing as like, now this is a business. I need to take it to the next level. So from selling on a backpack, it moved into a car boot. Then a car boot, then the demand started building and getting crazy. So then I thought of like, okay, now I need to have a store, you know what I mean? So I went and got that little space in the main mall, and then that's where we built the business. Like, you know, now running it like a proper business, 2 employees, you know, now you are like getting more responsibilities and just building the business from scratch, you know, just learning how to run a store, you know, then understanding the whole thing. Like now you are not in the streets anymore, you have more responsibilities, more commitments, you have to pay the rent, you have to keep the books, you know. So from there, Mafia Soul just exploded, you know. Then the whole scene just went crazy because everybody was coming out there to the store. And then that's when I met Boshike, because I used to know Shike on radio on that RB show. But now we started linking up with them. Shike started working with us. Basically, Shike was one of the guys who really contributed a lot in terms of our growth. Because he used to come out and shoot our stuff,
the videos,
you know, videos. He used to come out and connect us with all these guys. I met Aboya Nations through Shike. You know, he used to bring out all the top guys when they fly into town. He will bring them, introduce them to us. So we met Yan Nations through Shike, and then we started working with a lot of artists. I mean, the likes of Zeus, Apollo. We work with them. We dressed a lot of artists. You know, we used to dress, if you look at all the old videos, we dressed almost every artist you can think of. By and large, they were into hip hop. And then eventually we built that relationship with them. And then we are doing videos. We started working with a couple of guys. We worked with Drama Boy. Then at a later stage, we worked with Yuri. But Yuri, I think it's a few years ago, like, when we started.
Yeah, I think he was one of the earlier guys.
Yeah.
And he was franchising a store, right?
Actually, the franchise was at a later stage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is like before we even, because Main Mall was like our base for quite some time. I think for about 3 or 4 years or so, we're still out at the Main Mall, you know, just building the business. Then eventually we started going into the super malls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me move quicker as we arrive at the super malls. At around the time when you are responding to this address issue, I want you to just go through it quick in one question.
Yeah.
At a later stage, Kositlaren.com came in next to you, and it was pushing local and traditional.
Yes.
You are pushing urban. I would like to understand the synergies between that, or the challenges, competition, if there or not. But I would like to understand that now, as you are having a vision to move into the bigger malls, what exactly was happening, and what type of support was your business looking for, and how did you overcome that?
I think one of my friends came to me, Mr. Percy Raditladian Tarmov. You have a very brilliant brand. We can see you are doing pretty well. The guy who started Yarn FM, they also gave a lot of support when we started. Like, we're a Yarn FM baby.
Nice.
You know, so that's why me and Yarn are like, even today, because they really pushed our brand like crazy. So Percy sat me down and said, listen, Mof, this brand is a brilliant brand. You need to take it up market. You know, so, and then we had an opportunity to go to Riverwalk. Riverwalk was our first base, and that's when we saw that what we were doing was massive.
Yes.
You know, then everything exploded from there. You know, then also at that time, I think that's when I started traveling, going overseas to the States. And then, yeah, I think the game changer was when I started going to America. So for me, going there taught me the business more. You know, I started learning more about the business, obviously. Growing up, more TV. Now you are out there seeing them live, your Foot Lockers, your all these Fortune 500 companies. So that transition was quite impeccable. I think that's where we benefited more as a business, like having more exposure. You know, now understanding the entire culture, like in terms of retail and then product. Because Ghana is two things. There's retail business, then there's product, which is something I guess we'll discuss as we go on. But the retail business and the branding aspect, marketing and advertising, all those things is something that we just learned as we were building the business. And then once we went to all the malls, and I mean these malls, we kept on developing our brand through those mechanisms. So we had to start to create a brand. We had to learn how to market, learn how to advertise, you know, create partnerships.
What does it mean, I mean, for a youth who's really getting into these spaces and really trying to find themselves into entrepreneurship? I think half of the times we always say that we need mentors and mentorship. Maybe I would like to understand who was actually maybe hand-holding you to say, Moff, don't make these mistakes, or if you've made these mistakes, don't despair, this is how you can survive out of this.
I mean, for me, the moment I started doing business, I started reading a lot. So I would be lying to you, there's someone who was mentoring me, because I never had like somebody who ran a store and mentor me. Most of the guys who were running retail stores were Indian guys. So I never had like anybody who they handheld me and said, no. And
your brand was exclusive, there were no other competitors or people you were picking from.
So I had to
But retail is retail.
Yeah, retail is retail. But I had to read more about entrepreneurship. You know, just learning about marketing, advertising meant what I need to read a lot about those industries. I had to study branding, I had to study marketing, advertising, you know. So basically, just teach myself. You know, educate myself. I had to start becoming a student of the business. So
what do you think? Do you think the strongest businessman is the one who's hand-holded and mentored, or the one who's self-taught, who walks through the fire actually to burn and learn from the scars? Or
I mean, to be honest with you, you have to be deep in the mix. For me, I think once you are in the mix, you are basically in the trenches. It's going to teach you all the details. Sometimes some people, yes, they can say, okay, I can start a business, hire people, and then they run it. But if you look at entrepreneurship, it means digging deep and just being in the trenches. I mean, you can look at all the most successful people who are either billionaires or whatever. Your Steve Jobs, your Strive Masiwe and all those guys are like deep in the trenches. There's no one who's gonna tell you, oh, Strive Masiwe, I taught him how to do this. That dude taught himself. Taught himself how to be an entrepreneur and ultimately became a billionaire. So for me, I think it's critical for you to understand the business enterprise, learn the game, and teach yourself. You know, don't be someone you say, okay, I'm gonna wait for Mr. Seretse to teach me. No, go out there, teach yourself, because information is everywhere.
What do you think then in that aspect is the current challenge? Maybe I'll say youth, because they are the largest demographic in your society. The biggest challenge with them understanding such a concept?
I think if you look at, excuse me, if you look at Botswana, it's a very young economy. It's a young country. We're only like how many, 55 years or something like that. Yeah. So generally, it means that if you take 55 years or whatever, and divided by 2, that's like 25. So it means an average citizen is 25. Basically, they don't know anything. We don't know anything. We are not an enterprising nation. We don't have the entrepreneurship spirit in us. So what we need to do, we need to teach ourselves. So for the youth, what I can say is that they need to teach themselves at a young age. I was very fortunate to have started a business at a very young age.
When information was still scarce to find.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
just to buy a Hype magazine was a mission.
You know how we used to collect, the source.
Yes,
just
the source and
so,
all of that, yes.
My thing is, right now, information is everywhere.
Yeah.
There's galore information everywhere. In terms of, like, if you look
and
at...
tools, yes.
Yeah, there's like abundance of tools. If you look at, like, right now, when we started, we had to hire a store, build a store, invest so much capital and building a store. But now you can just run everything from your app. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say the youth are facing a huge challenge, but what they need to do, they need to utilize the tools that are available. Right now, actually, they're saying that this is the best time to be super rich, because think about it. The technology has just dismantled all the corridors that were out there. The whatever stumbling blocks that boundaries people put before us. Now you can build a business and have customers in Japan while you're in Botswana.
You never meet them.
You've never met them. You know what I mean? Like most of my suppliers, I've never met them. We just talk on the phone.
So tell me, what does it take for one to have such a thinking? I'm trying to ask the question from a perspective of my 18-year-old niece, to have such type of a perspective in terms of thinking.
A lot of people are not driven. A lot of people are not driven. A lot of people are not ambitious. Like what I always ask myself, or what I've observed is that a lot of people are comfortable. A lot of people are not driven. Nothing drives them. Nothing motivates them. Nothing. They don't have an ambition, basically. So you find that a guy, when he's at university, staying with their mom at their house, or they have a brother who's working, earning good money, they support them, and most guys are not driven. That's why you see in Botswana, like, we have foreigners, they come and they just take from us and blow up. So I think part of it, we've never been raised as a struggling society or nation. Botswana is a very, I would say, the government pay for our school fees, they pay for our health care, so nothing really motivates a lot of us to get up and say, okay, I need to go out and hustle. But a guy, say for instance, guys from India, guys from Kenya, right? Yes. They come out here and they get it.
And they get it right underneath
our neighbors from Zim as well, same thing. So a lot of us, we're not driven. Nothing drives us.
Does it not say that, if I take from your analogy, that sometimes when people are comfortable, the least they could try to do is think about building legacies? Of course, some ambitions are hunger-driven, or struggle-driven, like when you're coming from other countries that are facing economic difficulties. Your first means of progression is survival. But sometimes when you are comfortable, if I take from maybe say siblings or cousins who are coming from different economic backgrounds, my first instinct will be survival, but maybe my cousin whose parents are well off will be, let me experiment on this. Let me see how I can develop this further. Let me dismantle this and play around with it and see what I can build that can serve a different purpose. I often felt like, if we take from your analogy, which I think I've made quite a certain observation, I've often felt like maybe we are not a country that's thinking at a level of innovating and leaving legacies. And I always wonder what could really take us there.
I mean, it goes back to issue your drive. If you look at, I always use the US as an example because America, they build like great companies. Like they've given us your Apple, your Microsoft, your Facebook, whatever, Google. And, you know, but if you look at like a lot of successful people in America, like if you look at the number, the index here, the billionaires.
Yes.
Most of the billionaires in America were not, I mean, they are not Native Americans.
Yes.
It's people who went to America looking for an American dream. You can imagine the guy, like there's a guy I know, he originally came from Pakistan and went to the US, started selling car parts and became a billionaire just from selling car parts. So you can see that the drive and the hunger at that level is crazy. Take Elon Musk, for instance. Elon Musk is just from across the border here, but now built a multi-billion-dollar brand, Tesla, in America. So then if you look at countries like your say, Singapore, right, which I understand is the size of Gaborone, the drive is unbelievable. So in Botswana, yes, we can try to bring disruption or innovation like what people are always preaching out there.
But is it also not coming from the fact, dealing with the issue, drive that you mentioned, is it not also contributed to by the fact that we are a modest society? Okay, when you meet with Morph and he's driving a new SUV, a new Mercedes-Benz, me have 20 years and he has pension and he earns and he deserves that. The connotations of that are saying to me that I have to be modest and appreciate less. And also they are saying to me that my uncle has never showed me a bank account where there are millions. Where I've actually seen someone with $1 million in a bank account and I get inspired. So we are inspired by modesty at a lower level, which in turn doesn't help us to aim higher. How do you deduct from that?
Yes, I think I agree with you.
How do we know we can be rich if we've no one who's our skin color close to us?
I think Botswana, we have this, we are very humble people in a way, but at the same time, it boils down to the same thing that I said. Not many of us are driven.
Okay.
We are not ambitious enough, like to go get it.
Okay.
You know, Elon Musk, before he became a billionaire, he started a company called PayPal, sold that company for $180 million and went broke. Took that money, invested it, and went broke. So, Botswana, how many stories do we have that are like, can be written in the World Guinness Books of Records? How many stories do we have that are like, okay, this is an amazing story, right? We have an amazing story as a country. Yes, we started from humble beginnings, you know, mined diamonds and built a great economy. But the people, I think the people we need to dig deep and have, we need to be driven, more driven, like have a lot of ambition. Like you were saying, what you just said, we are more like, we are comfortable with a little. Like I've known even our grandparents. So I think ke sort of muila go itse gore o go nna le madi gore okay, you are rich, you are a billionaire, how much do you have? Mo Botswana hela ke ra not even mo Botswana, but ke ra most people how much are amogela bokae? It's like a taboo.
Yes.
You know, they wouldn't tell you how much they earn. You know, people won't tell you like, okay, how much you made last year as a company. People don't talk. they don't discuss about those things. You know what I mean? So where do we get inspiration?
Exactly.
The rich people in Botswana will never even come out and say, oh, I'm rich because I made 2 billion last year. Unless if it's a public company, or okay, Mr. Lawrence is a shareholder, Letshego makes about 2 billion, and that information is published. Right, so like we know with Mr. Ram for Chopis. So other than that, everybody is just like very secret.
It's a gray area, black area.
The rich,
you can do research and not find any inspiration to say, I want to be like this guy.
Yeah, so other countries like Korea, we saw Korea, they produce billionaires. This guy from Alibaba, we know he's a billionaire, studied in America, stayed in America. The guys Babu Baidu, you know, a lot of guys we can use as inspiration. And then celebrities overseas, even across our border, right, or by generate income young. You know, you can get inspired. Michael Jordan, right, or Michael Jordan started sneakers, became a billionaire. So there's like so much information to be inspired when you look at but Botswana is like, okay, Seretse,
yes,
he's a media mogul, he's rich, and he doesn't want to tell us.
Hey, no, we can't. You want to come to my house at night with the machete and then all the likes. So tell me something. What is the relationship between Urban Soul and its customers, in your view?
How's the relationship? What I can say is that Urban Soul customers are like, they're like family. We're like a community. I mean, if you see how we always tell our story, we're like a community. I mean, the thing is, we don't exist. Urban Soul doesn't exist without its customers. The customers are like our number one stakeholder. No Urban Soul without the customers. So for us to be where we are, it's simply because of the customer.
So you have stores in Boer, Ireland, and I always see some of your...
Actually, what we have...
Europe. What's going on?
We have a lot of representative... we have, let's say, representative in Europe. We have Mr. Satis in Scotland. He's our satellite operator there. He operates our business there in case of introducing our brand to that community.
Yes,
he handles that. Then we have a couple of guys in Manchester as well. We also work with them. We send them product. They do photo shoots and everything and stuff like that. And then the US as well. So basically, it's not stores as such. It's more or less like reps, sales. They are more like our reps in case of we want to send product. They basically cultivate the market in those markets.
Okay.
Yeah, like Mr. Satis, he basically built a strong consumer base for us there in Scotland and the UK, cultivated the whole market and started supplying that market. So we sell to those guys. Then we have one or two guys in Japan that buy our product and sell it to the local guys there. That's
quite interesting.
Yeah.
So what's your biggest market base?
I mean, our biggest marketplace, I would say, is still Botswana is still number one. Yeah, I mean, we still sell more in Botswana. Botswana still drives our business. I would say 96%. And then, yeah, I mean, we're still looking at growing our brand all over the world, especially in the US. I mean, the US is definitely going to happen because America, you know, is a very big market, 300 million people, and the opportunity is unbelievable there. But for now, our focus has been Botswana, and then we also look at the region, you know, regional market, South Africa, Namibia. We also have a good consumer space in Zim. Yeah, Zim is also strong. I actually almost forgot about Zim.
Yeah.
Most of our biggest customers are from Zim.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. Now, Kana, it means that in other areas, really, you don't have a physical store.
Yeah.
And rental issues are not really a effect. You are enterprising in the way of the future. What's the biggest impediment to growing businesses in Botswana? I hear some say rentals, I hear some say the market base, but I'm trying to tap into understanding how you are taking advantage of looking outside in the outside markets,
yeah,
and some of the challenges that we find on home ground.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say that rentals are a problem, honestly speaking. I mean, are we not being fair? What you need to understand is that for a lot of businesses to succeed and explode, you need to be in visible areas. I mean, sometimes you could invest so much in marketing and everything, but if you're in a mall, the mall basically, take care of a lot of things for you. Like they bring in all these multi-chains, and those people drive strong traffic to the malls. And when you're a new business, it's always essential to be in that vicinity, because if you're not exposed, then it means you have to inject a lot of money in marketing, being all over the place. But the malls can just transform your business to the next level. I don't think the malls are like really expensive, because everything is relative.
Okay.
We look at what the malls brings to you as a business. Like for me, I mean, I cannot trade what the mall gave our brand over anything, because it means if I'm next to Edgar's, I get the same traffic that Edgar's is driving, you know what I mean? And if I'm next to, let's say, another multi-chain, I just benefit from that resource, because they are more like a resource. They drive the audience, and then you are like a baby. You are growing, and these guys that are helping you to grow. So I don't think the rentals are quite reasonable. The only challenge that we have, I don't think we have the right policies. They are helping upcoming businesses to try to take them to the next level. Because it's always nice to run a business and be in a position where you are able to afford yourself. But you're trying to build a multi-national company or a multi-billion-dollar business
that can employ other people.
Yes, and then even go regional, not even just employ other people. Something that can bring economic benefits to your country. Like look at South Africa. South Africa have guys that are playing on a global scale. They have this guy, MultiChoice, who has one of the biggest TV networks in China, Tencent.
Yeah, Tencent.
I don't think that guy, most of those guys, they started companies saying they want to create employment for themselves and other people. They are looking at return on investment to that country. Look at how much those businesses are bringing back into South Africa in terms of revenue. So the likes of Bonebo Rupe, Richmond. I mean, this guy has his luxury company headquartered in Switzerland. So these guys are thinking bigger. So we can't be thinking about, okay, I'm trying to build a business to create employment. No, you are thinking about how much you can add to the GDP of your country. Like for instance,
I like that.
Yeah, the entertainment business in other countries, like let's say a country like the Scandinavian countries are big on copywriting of music. Basically, that industry contributes a strong, significant percentage into that GDP. So you can imagine, Botswana, if our policies were geared towards saying we are going to create an ecosystem that can build entrepreneurs that can play on a regional scale. SADC alone has about 300 million people.
Of course.
So now, if Aben Soul it's able to play and supply 300 people, think about it. Think about the economic activity. Look at South African chains. They're not looking at South Africa as their customer. They're looking at SADC.
Of course.
Yeah.
I've often had this kind of same view when I was saying I don't understand why some businesses, especially when I was speaking from a media perspective, because this was where I was. I don't understand why they are not building franchises and replicate the same businesses in other countries, because obviously there is starvation for media. There's a high appetite actually for media in terms of current affairs, in terms of news, in terms of investigative, in terms of marketing and branding platforms as well. And I didn't understand why a lot of successful local business do not rebrand themselves outwards, while guys who are coming outside, you have The Economist here, you have Mail and Guardian here, you have, but we are not playing in those markets as well. Talking about that from a national perspective, I've always felt that sometimes our population is a factor. We can't deny that. But it's not an excuse. It's a factor, but it gives us an opportunity to look outwards. Because what I've seen what China is doing globally is that they are deliberately supporting their people to go and invest in businesses in other continents, including Africa, as a government policy. And I wonder why I wish we could be doing the same in the global space. Because that's what everybody's doing. Like you highlighted earlier on, playing in the global space nowadays is easy. You don't need quite a lot of resources. You just need a bit of support and knowing what you are doing. That has been my view as well. But I'm going to transcend a little bit. Mov, you had 6 stores, right? Yes. And then you sort of brought them down to 2, if I'm correct. Or 3 or 2. Yes, if I'm correct, you correct me. Tell me what was happening around that from a business perspective.
I mean, what you need to understand is that every business goes through a phase, right? We went through a phase where we're like a startup company. We're starting, doing a lot of things, and half of the things that we are doing, we don't even, somebody didn't even educate us to do those things. You know what I mean? So you are bound to make mistakes. Like, I'll give you an example. At some point, we opened in South Africa. We put in a lot of money in South Africa and lost a lot of money in South Africa. So when you are in business, you're going to take a wrong turn. And the wrong turn sometimes can be very painful. It's like when you're on a highway, you know, you miss a turn and then you have to drive a few kilometers away so that you can get on that turn. So, I mean, we are not like, we made mistakes, and part of it is what made us keep on growing. And then, obviously, there is also economic elements. You can imagine, as a business, we went through how many devaluations that took over in Botswana. When they devalued, I think 3 or 4 times. Then the economic cycle, happened over the years. When there was the economic downturn, it means some businesses basically closed down.
Yes.
Tons of businesses closed down. Then, you know, Urban Soul or Mafia Soul was still there, growing, building, opening stores. We then even got too excited. You know, we even get too excited, open lots of stores. Some of the stores we opened, we didn't need to open them. Then we open a store, then you realize, oh no, we didn't need to open this store. So, and then what you need to do, you need to redirect the vision.
Yes.
You know, redirect the strategy and say, listen, we didn't need this store. I mean, I can count 2 or 3 stores that we opened and we didn't have to open them. Then we realize, oh no, actually we don't even need this store. And then over the years, you know, you become a student, you learn so many things, then you realize, okay, no, listen, maybe we don't need a store in a particular city. Because it's also difficult, because once you don't have the mechanism and the resources to actually measure how much business am I going to get from this specific market? You know what I mean? Once you have those figures, then you realize you don't even need a store. And then we have these stores, and then these stores are just taking, we are paying school fees, basically, having these stores. You know, we're paying school fees, we are paying this. I mean, when we sit down and calculate how much money we pay on rentals over the years, we probably could build them all for ourselves.
Jeez.
So then we realize, okay, maybe we need to change the strategy. You know what I mean? As a business, you know, eliminate some of the stores. Yes, some of the stores, we lost the leases, and all those things. But then you realize, oh no, actually, as a brand, our vision now tells us something new. You know, after we consolidate, then we see something new that we never knew, and nobody ever taught us that thing.
What's that something new?
I mean, it's an issue of optimization. You know what I mean? Right now, we are optimizing our brand. I mean, like you are saying, then we move from the economic downturn over the years. Because you can imagine, sometimes it's not even difficult to understand how much of your ratio is being taken away from you in terms of profit. You know, let's say last year you used to make 20% or 30%. Now this year it drops to 15% or 10%. You know what I mean? Then we had COVID.
Yes.
Then COVID hit,
was,
and a lot of businesses closed down.
Master stroke, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then during COVID, then you see you are still there, you are still, you know, you still exist, you are building, and you come out of COVID, restrictions are over, then the business landscape changes as well.
Yes.
You know, so, I mean, over the years, I can tell you that we've seen it all.
Yes.
We've seen it all, and then we are where we are right now, and then the digital migration. You know what I mean? So we're in a digital migration, and then the digital migration just also gives us a new perspective now to say now we need to change the strategy. You
don't even need a lot of these things.
So now we need to just change the whole model. Then the digital strategy says that, okay, I can give you like, say, 40% of the revenue, you know what I mean? And then you're like, okay, wait a minute. Maybe I need to focus on like increase my digital presence. So now the ball is totally different. Like
I'm curious to know how much revenue could you say the brand makes in a year?
It's very, very, very secretive. I mean,
the modesty I'm how am I going to get inspired?
I mean, listen.
Because I heard you talking about we could build them more. I'm quite trying to pin it down at least to imagine a figure.
I mean, what I can tell you is that we are okay. We are not rich. We're just doing okay.
Maybe this question will prompt you to answer me.
But then you saw stock exchanges approached us to list on the stock market.
Yes, of course.
So you can't list when you are not when you are not a scalable brand, basically. You cannot be approached by a stock exchange. If you are
of course, it's a great opportunity, and also a great opportunity for the business to raise funds from
I mean,
new stakeholders.
What I can tell you is that over the years, we have done extremely well in terms of growing as a business, and we obviously have an idea of what the business can make. The potential is crazy. Let me give you an example, right? I'm just gonna give you like an idea of the market. Botswana as a market, the retail market is worth 40 billion a year. 40 billion means me and you going to the mall, spending money, whether it's at Avensol or wherever. 40 billion. One of our competitors just got bought by another player, and I saw they published that they make about 250 million a year. Locally.
Who's your competitor?
You might not think it's our
your neighbor store there.
Where is that?
I know that code.
No. I mean, this is like one of the big boys playing the big.
Not urban, but retail in general.
Yes. And they're almost similar to our space. Yeah, and they're quite strong. Look at the liquor business. How much do you think the liquor business makes in Botswana?
No,
we're talking billions. One of the big franchises make over $1 billion a year. Yeah, maybe 2 billion or whatever. You know, so Botswana is a very unique market. Let's say a strong market.
So tell me then, with this song Yahamelo, what was it about, or on the line that you dropped, that do you think Eben Soul just sells only T-shirts? And what was your reaction to that?
The thing is, actually Melo called me, and he actually called me and said, Morph, I'm trying to write a song like this, and I'm gonna use your brand. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. Because you see, I'm not a fuzzy guy, and what I did, I said to myself, and I knew what he wanted to do. Obviously, he wanted to stay to create a buzz. And you can imagine on that song, he spoke about a lot of things. Yes. But what trended in that song? Eben Soul. Trended more than Melo.
Why do you think that is the case? Besides Eben Soul being a brand, but within the context of maybe what he was insinuating and what maybe the general public interpreted it as.
What do you think he was insinuating? Maybe you should tell me.
No. I want to understand what was the interpretation of it.
He said to me, I want to write a song and I want to use Eben Soul on the song. So then I said to myself, okay, if this guy is going to mock our brand, then that might not be a good idea. So at first I was like, okay, I should say no. Then I said to myself, listen, this guy is an artist. Yeah. Right? So it would be very naive for me to say, no, don't write. Because he could choose to go and write without even reaching out to me. Yes. So obviously, I mean, I cannot even sit here and hide from anyone to say, there is the connotation, we sell drugs. That has been going on for a long time. No, these guys that cleaning money. You know, Botswana is a very unique country. In a sense, once you build something that's very successful, Botswana, obviously it looks like a taboo. So for me, I mean, I've always been in the business. Like
the culture of modest.
First of all, let me tell you. Let me just take you through the whole idea. First of all, as a person, I don't take alcohol. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Yes. You'd hardly see me in this establishment. You know, I'm trying to keep up with the Jonases and everything. So that whole thing, hey, these guys are saying, it's just a malicious intent of trying to tarnish our brand. And also, happy, I don't look at it as something that's shocking, because what we have done, I mean, our story, very impactful story, you know what I mean? If you look at our history, we create a lot of impact. I mean, like, look around and see how much impact Mafia Soul, Eben Soul have made. Think about it. So for someone to think about, okay, but whenever we are, I remember one Ghana, we are, no, there's a mafia behind this thing. These guys are working for them. We run that company. Yeah. You know what I mean? We run that company from ground up to where it is. And listen, we have our own struggles. You know what I mean? It's not like it's smooth sailing. We have our own struggle. You know what I mean? Yeah, we have our own struggles. We have our own challenges. But, you know, to have this brush that the guys paint our brand, it's very, very sad. You know what I mean?
But is it not typical of our society that when someone is making an impact, more especially economically, these things, you see, what do these things mean and where do they come from? Because maybe those are the things from taken from our earlier conversation. Modest, and people don't inspire us by showing us that they are successful.
You see, the moment you do something that's iconic, then people start thinking, no, I think he's doing this because, like, you remember the story of Jinimbi?
Yes.
But if Hana Lenoha, why can't everybody get the Noha and get rich? You know what I mean? And then the other thing, I mean, this is a small city. We stay in a small city. If I'm into drugs, how many people come out and say I bought drugs from Mov? You know what I mean? I used to move late.
Interesting question, because we know some of them.
I mean, okay, I'll even share this with one of my guys. He's always been Bissau. He used to come to me and tell me, how did you survive this issue of drugs? Because there is an influx of drugs in the city. How do you survive? My guy, I've never had interest, because some of it is an issue of guys trying to fit in, you know what I mean? Trying to look cool and identify with a certain crowd, you know what I mean? So I'm posing, how did you survive? You don't drink, you don't use drugs?
Yeah, how?
I mean, growing up, a lot of these things is just about influence and your character.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, if you grew up around certain characters and then you pick people around you, the influence you, obviously a lot of people are using substance because of the influence by someone else. I've always been someone who I just believe every decision that I make, the next 5-10 years, gonna make a lot of impact in my life. So even when I go to the States, I mean, you would hardly see me doing crazy things in America because I'm trying to look like I'm cool, you know what I mean? I do things that I know that are investable to me, that are investable to my team, that are investable to my business, and they give me direction of where I want to go maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, you know what I mean? So a lot of things don't excite me. A lot of things don't move me. You know what I mean?
Talking about personal investment, I know you have a lovely daughter.
Yes.
And you're just so discreet. Where is the madam? My suit still fits, by the way.
Actually, I have a daughter, Luaho. Very, very exciting being. I mean, and that's one of the things that actually gave me a lot of fire after I had a child, you know. More inspiration, more drive, more reason to even to say to work harder because we want the best for them. Yeah, I mean, me and her mom are not together. Actually, the mom got married a few weeks, 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Great mother. We gave us a very beautiful daughter, and yeah, raising her, exciting, and also learning from her.
So are you trying to say
I mean, listen,
waiting for oblivion.
Listen, I mean, like I said, I'm very like, I'm crazy, if you ask me.
Yes.
Very crazy and very, I'm not an easy guy.
Yes. Okay, to change something, because there's something that a couple of things that I just wanted to pick from you, from my understanding. In the past couple of years, we have had a lot of, we have had to bury a lot of, especially Botswana and South African artists. You know, I think locally we've had, recently it was Boma Petla, Bo Reaction, Grandma Boy. In South Africa right now, it was this issue about Vector, Dallas is in the hospital, AKA, and all of them. We can't mention all of them. But I'm kind of getting a feeling that there's something happening in our regional music industry. And what can that mean?
I mean, what you need to understand is that when you are young, you are basically exposed to a lot of, your life is at risk. Like, a lot of things that you do, you have to always think about, in the next 5 years, the next 3 years, how is this thing going to impact my life? Like, I see a lot of guys who are doing, like, I know guys who are doing drugs, and I hear guys, bang, they even tell me, more of us on drugs, you know, and I was on drugs because of this and that, and I'm trying to fight it, you know, and I see young women are also heavy on drugs.
It's bad these days.
You know, the thing is, the reality of it is that most of us, we are impatient with ourselves. Like, we are living life in a fast lane, you know, like, we're trying to get it now. Like, we're not trying to build anything, you know what I mean? We're not trying to build something that, let's say, like, you see how our parents, they raised us, you know, like, usually, whenever I do something, I think of my mom and, okay, what is my mom going to say?
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing these things, you know what I mean? And just valuing life. I value life a lot, you know what I mean? I think life is a precious gift. So sometimes when I do decisions, make decisions, I have to think the impact of those decisions in my life. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like I'm perfect or whatever, but a lot of things that we do, it's a series of decisions. Like, if right now I choose at 2 a.m. I want to drive to Francistown with my car, and I want to do 200 on the road.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm increasing the risk of me either hitting an animal on the road or even just yeah. So a lot of it is just about choices, you know. So the young people are mostly affected simply because we live in a life in a fast lane, you know. And all these incidents, you find that maybe if sometimes we can slow down a bit, you know, slow down and just take it easy on a like, I live a simple life. I live a simple life. Like,
with all that drip?
Simple life, I mean, like, I'm not the person who, when something's happening there, I go crazy, like, yo, I'm going, man. You know, I just take it easy, you know, simple, because I'm thinking about, okay, what's going to happen in the next 5 years? Because I want to enjoy life. That's why you have to value the life.
Okay. One more question.
Yeah.
P. Diddy?
Man, what's wrong with P. Diddy?
What's your view on what's going on?
I mean, I stopped following Diddy when I discovered what he was doing. This is like 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Okay.
You know, we had an argument with one of my friends. I don't think I sort of like what Diddy does after I realized, because the moment I started going to the stage, you know, I remember the first time I went there, Neki, when I got there, I was like, I want to go see Diddy.
To the parties.
Like, no, good, like, find out who guy, wanna go see him. You know, Diddy, like, nobody can sit here and tell you, no, Diddy didn't influence a lot of us. You know what I mean? He was living the flamboyant life, you know, the yachts, the private jets, you know, Diddy was like a king, bruh. You know what I mean? And also that he's from New York. You know what I mean?
500 million or dinner with Diddy. You know?
King of New York, you know, dominating the scene and just being at the top, you know, top tier level. The Hamptons, you know, he was like, I remember.
So what ticked you off?
I mean, then I started discovering everything that is coming out. I long discovered it long time. He was like very, very vicious person, you know, like in terms of the stuff that he did, and then Bo Biggie dying, Bo Tupac and all those things. And I remember one time, Super Diddy was at this party, right? And he took a picture, Anale French Montana, who is his artist. And then he edited that picture, removed French Montana on that picture. I think it was him, Jay and Feb.
Yes,
and French. Then he removed
French Montana
on that picture.
What?
So then I'm thinking like, okay, why would he take a picture with French? Who is this artist? And doesn't want to post himself with that with the guy on the picture.
Yeah.
So then I started looking. So then I realized, you know what, sometimes we idolize a lot of things that we cannot really put our mind on it. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, all these things comes out, and then you realize, oh my God, this is the guy that...
It destroys every legacy that...
Yeah, we idolize this guy. So, I mean, it's a very unfortunate situation for him. I think very, very unfortunate. He impacted a lot of lives, not in America only, even in worldwide. The audience, hip-hop audience.
As a parting question, I'm asking that because Diddy has been a fashion music icon mogul. And like you rightly mentioned, that he has influenced quite a lot of us. And sometimes what I see in the digital space playing around here with people with their own brands, I often wonder what will happen to their brands when they are being reckless, especially on social media. What's your view with how people carry themselves out?
I think,
especially when they are enterprising and they are in business.
I think a lot of us, like I say, we are a very young economy. We are a young economy, which means a lot of things we are still learning. You know, like we are still learning a lot of things, like PR, for instance, branding, marketing, all those things. So integrity, your integrity can impact your life.
Yes, yes.
Let's say, let me give you an example. When this guy was hired, Trevor Noah, right?
Yes.
Apparently he was in Dubai in a taxi, and that call came in, and he stopped the taxi guy and told the guy, "Oh man, pull up, man. Pull up the taxi and step out of the car," and got that call, and that call was coming from Comedy Central. And then he got the job. And this guy is making like $15 million a year.
Yeah, he's...
you know what I mean? So
he's the guy who made it.
Now, one of the things that they were digging on the internet was like, I think he once posted on Twitter saying that he doesn't like fat women. And that thing was like all over the place. And these guys were like, you can never get this job. And they were fighting it. They tried to like clean it out, and it was all over.
Yes,
so sometimes you need to project yourself in a way that look at social media like a mirror. Because even me, like right now as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, when I hire people, I just go into that page. When they give me the CV, I take the CV and just go onto the social media. And then I hire them having an idea who they are. Because that's sometimes where people like give themselves like, So I think it's very important, Jorge, we need to manage and understand how social media, the thing is, here's the thing, whatever you put on social media is there for life.
Of course.
Even if you delete it on Facebook, but Facebook still have it in their server. They can still give it to the US government or whoever. Right now, if people want information about you, they just go onto your smartphone, they have all that information that you put out on social media, even if you delete it. So you have to create control,
of course,
of what you put out there.
Of course.
Imagine your kids. They're gonna see you on OnlyFans. That's Daddy on OnlyFans.
During COVID.
That's money. But you know what?
Yes.
We live in a free world.
Of course.
Someone can come out and say, oh, man, this is my life. I don't care. I'll go on OnlyFans and do what I want. You know what I mean? That's people's choice. So I think we are nobody to judge anyway. So go on OnlyFans.
I think that's brilliant. That's brilliant advice there.
Just go on OnlyFans and do your thing, man.
Make a little bit of dough, pay some rent there. You know, I don't judge other people's hustles, but you see, there's always consequences to everything. You know, in a long time, it catches up with you when you are in a different space. And
have you seen what they're doing with Kamala Harris right now?
Yeah, exactly.
They're heavy on digging all the negative stuff and trying to... But the Republicans already have all that information. They're just putting it out.
It's a dirty game. They have been collecting it actually. It has been waiting for the right moment. You know?
So
this is the Punchline Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening in. I had the pleasure of being joined by Morph. We always meet and have quite a lot to discuss about. But at the core, really, I just wanted him to take us through his journey, ebb and soul. I think if you have questions, you can put them down there. I believe that we can be able to expand more where maybe we missed. So let's maybe can be, time is limited. At the same time, I like the advice that he's sharing about our behavior on social media, man. We should be careful because this is part of our lives and it's really out there. I think you've also picked up on the issue, the challenges that they went through to build this empire called Ebb and Soul. Yeah. So we are here. I don't know, man. I would like you to close the show for me for a change.
The punchline with Lawrence. I remember you sat down with me and said, Morph, I'm trying to start a podcast. I said, go for it, man. And when I first saw your first episode, I was like, wow, this is unbelievable, exciting. And with your experience, I believe this platform is something that's gonna impact our society. If you are out there, join Mr. Lawrence on the Punchline podcast and, you know, come out and maybe you learn one or two things. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I believe some other time we'll have him again to discuss other issues. We are going into the last quarter of the year. Surely and definitely there will be a lot to talk about. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.